Am I the jerk for telling my fiancé that if he doesn't want my little brother to be a part of our wedding, then I don't want to be a part of this marriage? Posted by you/QuitLady3013. I'm 30F and currently 2 months pregnant with my first child. I'm engaged to my fiancé of 3 years, James, 31M. For a little background, when I was 15, my parents had my baby brother. 5 years later, when I was 20 and Matt was 5, my parents and Matt were driving home when they got into an accident, resulting in my parents' death. After the accident, I was completely devastated, but I had to pull myself together for my brother. The following month, I buried my parents, and with the help of my aunt and uncle, I applied for guardianship of my brother. It took about 7 months before I was approved. I had to secure a stable job and income, which I did, and proper housing for me and my brother, which I managed by using money from my inheritance to buy a house. It was difficult at first, working while looking after my brother, but over time, it became easier, though it still has its ups and downs. However, I would do it all over again for him. I met my fiancé when I was 27 at a gathering, and we just clicked. After 3 months of dating, he proposed. At first, I said no because I still had my brother to take care of, but after thinking it through, I said yes, and we agreed to wait until we were financially stable. At the beginning of this year, we decided to finally tie the knot, especially since I was pregnant and didn't want my baby to be born out of wedlock. We started the wedding preparations, and it was set for October. However, after what happened last Saturday night, it looks like there might not be a wedding. We've had disagreements before, but we always resolve them. For example, when deciding on a wedding date, James initially wanted it on my brother's birthday. I had a problem with that because I wanted to throw my brother a big party for his 15th birthday. I suggested the week after, but we argued. He even ran to his mother to try to convince me, but I stood my ground, stating that my brother's birthday was important to both of us. There was some more fighting, but in the end, we reached a resolution. Then there were the roles I wanted my brother to play in the wedding. At first, I suggested that Matt be James's best man, but James wanted his best friend instead. I said okay. Then I suggested Matt be the ring bearer, carrying the rings on a little pillow, but James wanted his nephew for that role. Again, I said okay and let it go. On Saturday morning, I was watching a TikTok video where a bride asked her male best friend to be her man of honor, and I thought it was sweet. So, I decided to suggest it to James. That night, when he came home, I was in the kitchen while my brother was at a sleepover at his friend's house. As James entered, I sat down and said, "I have the perfect role for Matt." "James, what's that?" "Me, I thought he could be my man of honor. And instead of wedding parties pairing up as couples, they could walk out as singles." "James, what?" "Me, man of honor, or I'll call it my brother of honor. It would be lovely." "James, but I thought you wanted my sister to be your maid of honor." "That wouldn't work." "Me, I never agreed to that." "And what about my brother? I want him to play some role in my wedding." "James, I was thinking he could be a guest and just sit in the rows." I was completely shocked. I wanted my brother to be part of my wedding, not just some side guest. I didn't know what to say. His whole family was playing some part in the wedding, and most of my bridesmaids were his cousins, only 2 were close friends. Yet, he couldn't grant me this? I stopped what I was doing and told him no. It was my wedding too, and I wanted my brother to be my man of honor. He insisted that his sister was a better choice, and that my brother should just be a guest. He also said he didn't want children in the wedding party. I completely lost it, and the argument escalated from one issue to the next. Since Saturday, James hasn't come home. He only sent his brother to pick up some of his things, and his mother and sister have been blowing up my phone, calling me selfish and saying, "So what if your brother is a guest?" The last time they called was Wednesday night, and I went back crap insane on both of them, using language I'm not proud of. I ended the call by saying, "Yes, my brother is more important than James in this wedding. If it's happening, I will never put James ahead of Matt, so I'm effing sorry. Tell James to contact me if he wants to talk things out." Notable comments. Commenter. I was going to suggest your brother walk you down the aisle, but then I kept reading. This is just filled with red flags. I'm gonna bypass the whole fact that your fiancé has filled every bit of the wedding roles with his family members. And out of 365 days in the year, he wanted the wedding to be on your brother's birthday. I'll simply say, I'd bet money on your fiancé pushing for your brother to leave the house after the wedding so that it's just your family, him, you, and the baby. Not the jerk, call off the wedding. Commenter. Your dude dropped his mask a bit too soon, he thought he had you locked down. It's better to untangle yourself now and call it a bullet dodged. You deserve better. Update 3 weeks later. Hello everyone, I'm very sorry I didn't get to update you earlier due to being busy with work, canceling all my wedding preparations, and preparing Matt for sports camp. I want everyone to know that I will not be marrying James. We broke up. Well, on Friday, the week after posting my original post, I got a message from James asking to meet and talk. I agreed, but only if I could choose the day, which he accepted. I picked Sunday since I knew Matt wouldn't be home all day. After notifying James, he arrived around midday, with his mother. I was shocked when I opened the door and let them in. They sat in my living room without saying a word for a few seconds, making the moment even more awkward. Then James finally spoke, saying he was sorry for leaving and staying away because he needed time to think. His mother then started condemning me, saying I wasn't acting like a future wife and that I should consider my future husband's thoughts, along with many other comments. She said to me, I'm disappointed in you. You're getting married, and you need to stop acting like this toward your future husband. I scoffed at that, then turned to James and asked what his problem with my brother was. It turned out his issue was that I was giving more attention to my brother than to him. He sat there silently for a while before finally stating that he wanted a life with me and our unborn child, but not with Matt. I felt utterly disgusted as he continued, explaining that after the wedding and the baby's birth, he thought he could convince me that raising both a baby and a teenager would be too difficult for us. He said it would be best for me to send Matt to live with my uncle and aunt, though he would allow me to continue supporting Matt financially. I was completely shocked. Before he could say anything else, I told him, sorry, but no, that isn't happening. My brother isn't going anywhere. I stood up, took off the ring, handed it back to him, and told him it was over. Both he and his mother immediately started arguing, saying I didn't have to do that, and that I would regret my decision. James began crying, begging me to reconsider, but I simply walked to the door, opened it, and gestured for them to leave. A few minutes passed before they finally walked out, with James still crying and pleading while his mother called me nasty names. Later that evening, his sister and mother blew up my phone, cursing me out. I only responded to tell them to have James come pick up his remaining belongings. There are a few things I would like to respond to. 1. I saw many asking why I didn't choose Matt to walk me down the aisle. I gave my uncle, my father's older brother, the role because, after the funeral, he was there helping me obtain guardianship, and has been there over the years for both me and Matt. 2. Many of you advised me to terminate so I wouldn't have any ties to James, but I'm sorry, I had to think it through, and I don't want a termination. I decided to carry the baby to full term. 3. As many of you stated, I should sit down and talk to my brother to see if James ever mistreated him when I wasn't around, which I did. However, he said no, that James mostly ignored him, and he did the same. Plus, I also told him that the wedding is off. Relevant comments. Commenter. Get a lawyer now or leave the state before the baby is born. You do not want to deal with these people any more than absolutely necessary. Ops response. I will consider those options, but right now, I will focus on the pregnancy, my health, and my brother. Commenter. You've absolutely done the right thing in protecting Matt. But my question now is, what are you going to do about the baby since you're carrying to term? Are you going to give the baby up for adoption? Are you going to try to co-parent with James and his crazy family, who he clearly can't keep out of his business? Ops response. Thank you, but it's a no for adoption. If James doesn't step up, I've already raised a child alone, and I can do it again. Commenter. The problem isn't whether James steps up or not, he'll fight for custody because of his mother, and once he has some, your kid is going to spend 100% of James's custody time with his harpy mother, who will be feeding them a whole lot of lies about you, directly. This is going to be very, very hard for you to avoid because if he fights for custody, even across state lines, he will almost definitely get it. Once the kid is in his custody, he will let his mother do whatever she wants. And if he's taking the kid out of state every summer, all summer, you have a very real problem on your hands regarding what they're going to tell them about you for 2 solid months. I'm not telling you what to do regarding the pregnancy, but you are signing up for decades of misery dealing with these people, and they very well might succeed in turning your own kid against you. Imagine your 10-year-old coming home after 2 months of being raised by your not mother-in-law, crying, I don't get to have 2 parents because you love your brother more than me or daddy. Because that will happen. Ops response. I honestly get where you're coming from, but I'm prepared to fight tooth and nail to get full custody. I'm taking screenshots of the messages his mother and sister are sending me, and I'm planning to seek out a lawyer and begin the process. So, thank you for your concern. Second update 6 months 2 weeks later. Hello everyone, first and foremost, Happy New Year. It has been a while since my last update, but I'm back to provide some news. I want everyone to know that I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy whom I named after my father, and things have been going well between me and the baby. Matt is excited to have the baby around. My uncle and aunt were present during my labor and delivery, and the day after my son was born, James and his parents visited the hospital. However, I only allowed James to see our son. According to my aunt, James's mother attempted to make a scene but was quickly silenced by my uncle, who threatened her with police action. My aunt and uncle moved in after my discharge and will stay with me until June. That isn't the only update I want to share. Last Friday, James came over to see the baby after asking to talk. He asked if there was ever a chance for us to get back together, to which I immediately said no, telling him that the day I returned the ring was the last time we had a romantic relationship and that all I'm looking for and hoping for from him is a co-parenting relationship. It took 10 minutes before he reacted, but he agreed and left. So, I'm currently looking for and scheduling meetings with lawyers to establish a suitable co-parenting schedule for us, which I hope he agrees to. Aside from that, I'm looking forward to raising and providing for my baby and Matt so they can have the best life possible. I'll keep everyone posted on any updates, and once again, thank you for all of your comments and support. Notable comments. Commenter. Congrats Op, so glad you, the baby, and your brother are happy and doing well. Make sure you get sole custody and supervised visits for James so his mother and sister don't get any time alone with your son. They'll be a disruptive and dangerous influence on him. Include clauses stating that your child and brother son should be raised by your aunt and uncle in case of an unexpected death, and if your brother is of legal age, he can be considered as well. Don't underestimate the grandma or sister, they'll dig in for a fight, and I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to abduct him if they thought they could get away with it. As another poster mentioned, make sure all their unhinged behavior is documented, the calls, texts, outbursts at the hospital and your home, so it can help with your custody case. Even consider a restraining order against those two harpies for all the abuse they heaped on you while you were pregnant. But make no mistake, that beach will continue to come for you and the baby. Keep your guard up and fight.